Welcome back to the Hip Hop Scholar Podcast. I am Melanie, your host, the Hip Hop Scholar as well, where beats meet bibliographies, bars become texts, and hip hop is explored as history, culture, identity, literacy, as well as a living archive. Today, we welcome an artist whose work reminds us that some of the most powerful stories in hip hop are not always found in the spotlight. They are found in the family album, the neighborhood memories, the lessons passed from one generation to the next, and the commitment to leave something meaningful behind. Our guest today is Phin of Phin Music. As an independent artist, Phin has continued to build his catalog through authenticity, community engagement, and a dedication to telling stories that matter. His music consistently reflects the realities of growth, responsibility, family, and legacy while remaining grounded in the culture that has shaped who he is. Recently, Phin has been preparing listeners for the release of the Field Diaries, a project that promises to capture lived experiences, personal reflections, and the stories that often go undocumented. Through records like Out Front, featuring Phin's sister, Woman Be Raw, he demonstrates a commitment for collaboration, community, and honest storytelling. But perhaps one of the most compelling records in his recent body of work is Forever Legacy. Now, as Father's Day approaches, I do declare that Forever Legacy stands as a much-needed Father's Day anthem, a song built from pride, being seen and heard in the king of one's own royal family. A reflection on family, inheritance, responsibility, as well as generational impact. What makes the record especially significant is that it features both of Phin's son and his father, creating a rare three-generation artistic collaboration that transforms music into family history. In a culture that often celebrates individual achievement, Forever Legacy reminds us that our greatest accomplishments may not be what we build for ourselves, but what we pass on to those who come after us. So today, we'll discuss music, fatherhood, entrepreneurship, independent artistry, legacy, community, and what it means to create work that honors both the ancestors who came before us and the generations still to come. So whether you're listening from the classroom, the office, the gym, your daily commute, or somewhere in between, settle in for what promises to be a thoughtful and inspiring conversation. Please join me in welcoming recording artist, storyteller, father, and culture bearer, Phin. All right there.
That was beautiful. I appreciate that, for real.
Of course, of course. We love to give flowers here on the Hip Hop Scholar Podcast. Thank you for creating music and creating this journey of memories and stories and experiences of your own for your family, but also being able to share that with your global family as well. So shout out to you and thank you for being with us today.
Oh, appreciate it. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to be here.
Cool. Well, if you've seen the podcast and you know the very first question, it has to be the very first thing that we talk about. When did you fall in love with hip hop, Phin? What was that for you?
I was a baby. So I call myself a griot because, again, as I've studied that, right, griots aren't somebody, you can't just pop up and be a griot, right? That has to be passed down. And so my father, I grew up, so I have, and I can just pull out any of these records. These are all my dad's, right? I have probably 300, 400 vinyls in my house. My dad had been a disc jockey when he came back from Vietnam. He grew up with Santana and like used to jam with him, and Sly and the Family Stone used to jam with him in the city, right? So I grew up in a music household. There was no way around it. I was going to be influenced by music, and I'm a 90s baby, born in 90,
Okay.
in California, to a Panther family, right? Like my dad has a story of like almost fighting Tupac, right? Like, because he was the older cat and was like young Tupac running his mouth. You know what I mean? Like, so I like this music, the culture that built the music was just around me, right? I think you mentioned like the hip hop comes from resistance,
There you go.
right? Again, my dad, he came home from Vietnam, had been involved with the Panthers, right? And so just like the the politics, right? Our politics that have created hip hop, the conditions that created hip hop are the conditions and the politics that I am rooted in, right? And so there was no hip hop is just the newest iteration of our storytelling, right?
Yeah.
If we're being honest, right? These are African traditions, and it's this modern iteration of a thing that we have been doing.
Right.
And so like, when did I fall in love with hip hop? It's when did I fall in love with African music? Because it's the drums, it's all of the things. So I grew up in a house that didn't give me a chance not to. I grew up in a family that didn't give me a chance not to. Right? I believe in the griot tradition seriously and truly. Like, it was passed to me. And like, this is then passed to my children and things of that nature, right? And that's why I was so intrigued with your podcast, because again, the scholarship, right? So often we do understand the scholarship of jazz and of our different iterations, but like, for whatever reason, we aren't giving that same edification, that same credibility to hip hop. And so I have always saw it that way. And so like, that's why I was like, oh my gosh, I love this podcast. This is so tight. And so when you're asking again, when did I fall in love with hip hop? I understood it as just who we were, just a new version of the way that our music is coming about.
Oh, such wonderful words and a way with them to explain that love of hip hop. Like, you can't think of a time without music, right? There was never a time without music. There was never a time without literacy. There was never a time without genre exploring as well. But also, and what really stands out is that knowledge of self, right? Be understanding the elements of Sankofa and, that resistance that it was, is, and hopefully we can unchain that, right? That becoming the overarching goal. And definitely to connect with you, I remember speaking with Too Dapper. He was on another podcast where we were talking about how, they forced us to listen to these classics. And my goal is to make people as a mainstay understand that hip hop is classical music. It absolutely is. You can have Beethoven, you can have, all of these big names of Tchaikovsky or whomever, but you also got Kool Moe Dee. You got, MC Lyte, you got Queen Latifah, you have the very beginnings of identity, right? And especially you born in the 90s, I'm your eldest, so I'm born in the 80s. But understanding, especially in that time frame, what hip hop created and how it continued that legacy of storytelling and, evolving with the times. And even now we do see evolution of hip hop growing into these different facets, although a lot is lost, I feel too. We have a lost identity in some of these expressions that do occur. But I really appreciate, and you got the receipts to go with it. You have the vinyls to go with that, and understanding that hip hop is this amalgamation of so much greatness. And it tells the story of who we are. Shout out to your father as well for what he's done, for his service. Thank him for his service and navigating the politics of the war itself, staying safe and coming home, and then being able to honor still that knowledge of self, of knowing who he is, his community, and being able to, bring that story home and have you to continue that story and continue that lineage. So with everything that you shared, it reminded me of the movie 300, with 300. So the guy that lived, he lost his eye, but he could tell the story. And that's who they sent to go get the rest of them. And that's what won the war, is that the person who was able to share the story of the pain, of the anguish, and still of the way that they rose from nothing, that's the person that was able to get the next generation. So that's exactly what you do, J. Phin. You are really riling up the next generation. And so let's jump into Forever Legacy. Talk to me about the selection of that name, Forever Legacy. Let's start there first.
I mean, and I always knew that it was gonna have the title kind of legacy. Forever kind of came about as we were like making the cover art. My wife was doing it, and it really just fit.
And that cover
Again,
art
my father's birthday is the 5th. It's June 5th.
okay.
So my dad was Phineas. I'm J Finn because Phineas is my middle name. So Phineas like holds a deep significant, like it has become a deeply significant name in our family, right? Okay. And it's a biblical name, right? It was a random name, right? My father was given his name from his aunt after he was born on a Sunday because she was driving to the hospital, right? And was able to say, you know, she told her sister, hey, this is what I think, right? I heard, and Phineas was the king of priests in the Old Testament. And so, boom, Phineas was my daddy's name, right? He gave it to me as his middle name, and then my youngest son has it as his middle name. My oldest son has my first name as his middle name, right? Kind of like, right, a little bit of a tradition. And so again, I had both of the songs with my sons already done. And so the one with my oldest in the car, we've been performing that song. We've probably been performing it about 1.5 years, 2 years almost.
Okay.
We had an idea for an EP together that we wanted to do, but my 17-year-old is like a super perfectionist, and if he's not in the mood to go to the studio, if he don't think that he got the verse exactly how he wants to say it, we not going. And I'm right. We run around call ourselves the Shakurs. I'm trying to go to the studio and get as many songs knocked out. So we have just different creative processes. But I was able to get him on this one, and because I told him, I said, hey, in the car is special to me. I want to get it out for Pops' birthday. He said, I can do that for you, Dad. My younger son, initially, I got him to start writing because he had lost a friend, actually, just like a little bit over 1 year ago. And so I had got him to write, and initially it was going to be a song that I was kind of writing to my dad, and I used what I wrote to my dad to try to, get him to open up.
A mentor text, right? An inspiring text, yeah.
And so that song didn't work out for us to put it together based off what he wrote and what I wrote and like the lengths of things and the beat and all the things. But I was like, hey, like that didn't work out, but like let's actually like be real focused and do a song together. And he was like, okay, because he was kind of like, man, you played me, and I was like, I kind of did because I did want you just to get this out. Like, right, like what I needed to write, my song was done, and I knew I'd use the whole beat, but like I could maybe extend it, but it was just so like, and it ended up working out where I moved that song to a completely different beat, and his verse just didn't work out with the new beat, so it was like But this song was like, let's go be intentional, and so we were really intentional. We put together a more fun song, right? He's 13. He don't want to be as serious. He want to be playing more. So we had like more fun and bounce with the song. And then again, the third song, I have a history. So I've just started putting things on streaming, but I have like a bunch of work on like SoundCloud. And so I've had like a lot of songs towards my father or just in reference to him, a lot of things, right? He raised me as a single dad, right? And so that's my dude, you know what I'm saying? And so like as soon as I heard the beat, again, I have there's a producer that has really like, he loves my sound, and like we've started to make a lot of music together. And so he had sent me some, he sent me a pack, like run through this and see what you think. And as soon as I heard the beat, it's the from Set It Off, the one missing, it's that sample. And I was just like, as soon as the sample hit, I was like, yeah, I already know where this is going, and it's going to my dad, and like boom, like you know what I mean. And it was so.
Was it this one or this one?
Hey, Jordan, give me a call on my cell. All right, bro. Bye-bye, son. I love you.
Let's go ahead and let it play just a little bit. Then we're gonna comment. Yeah.
What's good, Pops? Been a minute since I wrote you. Maybe someday I'll get over. Oh shit, I ain't hopeful. It's really the little moments when I tend to miss you most. I feel all your love when the ocean pulls me close. When the wind pops my head, you can almost see your smile. So I heard you whisper, shit, I've been sitting here a while. You ain't never too far. That's what I'm really learning. My lights you said to shine, it ain't never stopped turning. I'm really trying to listen, but I'm still.
Hey, Jordan, give me.
Even just that excerpt there, right? You know, it reminds me of like when K. Dot starts talking about, you know, on, I think it's on Mother I Sober. And it's just this, you know, like a declaration of like, you know, if you were here, I would say this. And now that you're a father, I need to say this. And even the other song was like riding with my dad. I'm just riding with my dad. I'm in the car with my dad. You know, that's that generational impact where, you know, I really want to make certain that our audience understands that and then unpack that part, because not only is it about making music for you, right? You can make music, you got the lyrics, you got the lyricism, got the stance, all those good things. Even that Marathon, shout out to Marathon. You even did that piece with the Marathon, and I buy Marathon all the time, right? But the significance of that, though, is that I feel like, you know, as a father, you know, you recognize that, you know, Nipsey Hussle with what he created with Marathon and him being a father and was lost so early on. And then your own father, you know, it sounds as if he's passed away as well. And so This forever legacy, right? Building your own legacy as you recognize others' legacy. And then creating that lineage and building legacy of your son, understanding his writing style and like, okay, he's not like me, but we're going to get it together. You know, all those things really connect, and, you know, the how of that. You know, I want you to tell us the why and then also the how, because I feel like there's a producer or a rapper out there that, you know, feels like they have to, you know, well, I can't talk about my family or I can't talk about this situation. I got to, you know, put this facade up and be so hard when really, you know, this is the hardest shit ever to be able to, you know what I'm saying, bring your heart out and have that lyricism. So talk to us about the how and the why, J. Phin.
Yeah, so I think one, so I'm a revolutionary, right? Like I'm a Pan-Africanist revolutionary, right? That's the politic that I stand on. Mm-hmm. Right, so like you see Mumia on my shirt, right? That's a political prisoner. Like this is Chance's hat, but it's Starline and it's Black Starline, right? And it was Marcus Garvey's right plan to take us back to our land, right? So I'm very right. So when you ask like how or why do I produce or do I create the songs that I could produce, I am producing political education. I am a griot, which means I am an African teacher. I am a history teller. I am a documentarian, right? Mm-hmm. It is my job to tell the story of the people, and like you said in regards to 300, right? As a revolutionary, it is my job to educate the masses in the way that they actually receive information, right? When my elders, when my OGs, right, mm-hmm. were coming up, they were selling Panther papers, or they were, you feel me? They was hand to hand with some literature because that wasn't the way that we were taking in our information. In 2020, again, I am responsible for producing a newspaper every single month through our organization. I still follow that tradition, but I also understand that right now that isn't how the masses of our people are are gaining their information.
Right.
And so this is political education. This is popular political education, right? It's therapy for me, and it's popular political education. And so that is the music that I'm making, right? So like even the title of the EP coming up that's going to come out on Juneteenth, Field Diaries. Like we're still not free. We still in the field, and these are diaries, right? From me as a soldier, or me as an understanding slave, right? From a maroon, right? Trying to maroon. Here is my field diaries, right? On Juneteenth. So I've actually been trying to be very strategic about how things drop. Even my first project, Shakur Set the Standard, right? It came out during February, Black History Month, as an idea to like, here is what it actually means, right? Because we have this idea of black excellence, and like, I'm sure I'm gonna piss someone off, but like, all the things that Jay-Z said, and like everyone's like, that man is a whole capitalist and whole evil against our people. Like he is, right? But like he undid his dreads and he out here rapping again, and now everybody like, oh, he tight, he for the culture, we winning. We not winning. That man did that on purpose, as a distraction, right? And again, I'm a California man who named my daughter Brooklyn because I was so in love with this man's lyrics. My oldest daughter's name is Brooklyn because if I have a daughter, guess what I'm gonna call her? Brooklyn Carter. And he didn't name his daughter Brooklyn. I was like, oh, nigga, a real nigga will for sure name his daughter Brooklyn. And like, that's how much I loved this man. Again, talking about a nerd, that I loved his lyrics, right? And like how much his lyrics helped raise me. And when I saw who this man was, I was like, ooh, never mind, right? And so like, that's the why I make music, because I like found out majority of these cats that I was trying to listen to was like, oh my gosh, bro, you actually are against everything that even the things that I took from your music. You know what I mean? Jay was talking to me, right? $500,000 for bail because I'm African. The black Che Guevara with wings on. I'm complex. What? Like those were, I had just finished reading Che. I was in high school and I was like, he said Che Guevara. Like, what? Like that was impactful, right? Like Lloyd Banks, like, because all of my niggas got deported and sent back home. Like those bars, like, gave me politic at a time, right? Because again, yeah, I grew up with that, but when you're in high school, even Pac said that, you're not trying to be on that when you're in high school. But the fact that I'm hearing rappers talking about that, I'm like, yeah, I'm on that still. Right? And so like, that is why I make that music. Because when I was a teenager, there was Dead Prez. There was even the G Unit cats, right? Mobb Deep, all these cats was still popping they shit at the police, real spiel. Again, I'm from the Bay. RBL Posse, Messy Marv, San Quinn, you feel me? Yuck Mouth, Keep This. All them cats was talking cash shit about the police. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that, and again, Pac is someone who, like, to me, isn't like a distant figure. Like, I know plenty of people who know Pac, right? And so again, like that politic of who Pac was who he was because of Matulu, because of Afeni, because of Asada, because of Geronimo, right? Like, those people poured into this little boy, because of Sekou, poured into this little boy, and like those same people were in the circles that my family was in, and so like I was in that same soil, right? And so
you had to grow into this mighty oak of dopeness and all of that.
And I think, right, like, this is a whole new iteration of me as an artist, right? So I rapped from the time I was like 11 until I was like 19. And then I had a son, and I was trying to be a college athlete, and and so I took like a 16-year break, right? And then I had a heart attack, and then I came back to rapping as a form of medicine, right? And so I guess, like, to answer again, like a long like circle of how and where does it come from, we was like, okay, you do need something to get this out of you. And then as I kept doing that, the people in my circle said, this isn't just for you, bruh. Like, you might think it's for you, but like, actually, that, like, right, there's people who need to hear it. And even if it's not the people right now, like what you said, there's going to be kids. And that's what I've like settled with, right? The Panther newspaper back in the day, like, it was cool that you read it. But now a Panther paper today is important. It's something that's sought after. It can give us a key to how our people were thinking and how they were organizing. And so I understand my music in that same lens of like, maybe right now it's not the most popular, but in like a generation or two, when they're like, oh, they gave out 10,000 boxes of groceries. They had a health clinic. They had a school. How did they do that? Right? Oh, well, let me listen. Oh, that man was stressed out. Oh, okay. But they were making it happen because of this. They were, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that how and why. And so that's kind of how I sit with it.
Okay.
I was long-winded. You can see I come from a church, right?
Oh, you good? Oh man, I heard everything. I'm gonna start back to like towards the beginning. Like one of the albums raised me was Black Star with Talib Kweli and Mos Def. Like that is like an iconic album that truly gave me my iterations, especially at a time when it wasn't a mainstream type album. Because I'm in Texas, I grew up in Louisiana, and so imagine listening to Black Star. You know, and just a few of us, especially underground type, passing around the CD. So I'm right there with you, especially understanding the history behind that title, Black Star. And it's a dope hat that you have on, and then continuing that history. Like you said, the newspapers now are so important because it's archival. Once it's publication and it's published, that will be seen in the year 3000, even beyond that, because it is an established text that creates that history, puts that into reality. You know, this digital space that we're navigating, you know, it has a permanency, but there's nothing like that touch of that text that's really going to be sought over in the future. In addition to that, when you were talking about how too, you know, our heroes in hip hop are definitely changing, right? When you brought up Jay-Z, the first thing I was thinking about was the Blueprint 2, homie. Follow the moves. You put on 2 tube socks, you couldn't walk in my shoes. I was dealt a bad hand. Fuck, what else could I do? But keep something up my sleeves. And, you know, those kind of lyrics. And then you do listen and hear the stories behind it. And then I'm someone who's locked. These locks are not designed to ever be picked out. Like, I haven't read everything because I've been busy. But I did was like, well, how did Jay-Z come up with a fro? But there's so much that goes along with that. It's like, well, why wouldn't he? What kind of statement is he making? But
him and his wife are really good at virtual signaling. She had a whole Black Panther outfit and dancers and all the things, right?
Yeah.
And then again, like,
go ahead.
Yeah, I think. Getting back to what you were saying, like we've lost, but I think we've lost specifically because of our music, right? Our music has been co-opted.
Yeah.
Any of the folks, even the rappers who might not seem political, but start to have some type of understanding of taking control and having self-determination within their neighborhood. Think Nip, think Dolph, right? These cats all of a sudden just get killed in their neighborhood where they're loved.
Right.
So like, there is, especially with Nip, there's a lot more that I think, as years come down the line, we'll all start to see. But I think Nip's is very in line with Pac's assassination, right? That those were not from the streets, right? I'm not as well versed on Dolph, but I do know that he was starting to really be tapped in with his neighborhood, right, and his community. And I know that, again, when those things start to happen, cats tend to get took out, right? When they start to make positive changes in their neighborhood.
Make positive change, like truly evolve out of the stereotype and the mainstream But then, yes, they are lost so early and so young, and that is the trope, unfortunately. Like, the greatest artists never grow old. You know, they're never old. Yet, at the same token, the marathon continues. You know, the legacy is still there, forever legacy. I'm sure the sons will continue. Go, what you got there?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I wish I had just come from work. I would have had I have a slew of marathon t-shirts and hoodies. We wear those. We support marathon for sure because it does stand for so much. And that's the point of what you are doing too when it comes to music, J. Phin, is that, you know, you're giving so much homage to many different people. You know, you're bringing up different names, you're bringing up, you know, these different things. But what I also like to make certain that people understand, and I teach, is that when people give these lyrics, when people perform, when they share out this music, it's more than just the words. It's more than just the beats, right? Like, people can be moved by a set of words, and it can make them feel a whole other thing, right? But what about the writer themselves? How freeing is it to create and to synthesize all of this history, all of this, you know, Black excellence, truly, specifically, and place that together in a way that generations and many other people can learn to understand, right? That's the beauty of what I feel like you are creating and the journey that you're taking us, especially with your upcoming albums. You know, this is that opportunity to really take hip hop as history and making this also medicine for all of us, not just for the writer, but also it becoming this potion for us all, for liberation, for, you know, mental, to really get this veil off of our eyes so we can really understand what's really going on out here. You know, we have to be very careful with what we're listening to the music that we're, you know, when people think of hip hop, I'm like, you know, I'm gonna need you to do your research. Don't come to me and talk about Sexy Red. Don't sit up there and say, well, you know, MC Hammer. And though they have their place, you know, hip hop has this same domain and same respect as any of these other domains and specifics. So I want that respect piece placed on there, and you do just that. You absolutely do just that. And so with that piece, right, as you go along and you're doing these things, I know that there are lessons along the way. What's one lesson, or maybe two lessons, but one lesson like significant to you, or a moment to you that really made you understand that this is my path and this is how I move forward?
I think as an artist, I knew that it was important. We have, again, so we are, we're community organizers, right? Me and my team. We are part of Community Movement Builders, which is a Pan-African organization. We have 11 chapters, right? All over, including in Arusha, Tanzania, right on the continent of Africa. And so we host the National Black Radical Organizing Conference. And last year it was in Indianapolis. And so we bring out, delegations from different chapters, and we all meet. And again, different orgs all came together, right? So it was like CMB, Cooperation Jackson, BAP, which is Black Alliance for Peace. I think Black Lives Matter Grassroots showed up. I think, there was other folks. Now someone's gonna be mad that I didn't remember their group, but yeah, it was just a bunch of Black orgs meeting. And we brought out one of our members who actually, again, is an artist from, the community. Her name is Hayla V. She's a super dope young hip hop artist. And she's like, a lot of us think she, could be a rising star, right? Like she has all of the potentials, right? She's starting to do the big shows and all of the things, right? Her name is starting to rise. And she's a great member of the team, right? Like she helps teach at Malcolm X Academy. She teaches, she teaches social emotional wellness. She helps with the grocery program, right? Her little brother's at our school, right? So like it's not, and again, she lives in the neighborhood. It's not like, oh, it's just, oh, we sent some artists out, right? She's part of all of the things that we do. And she took away so much from the conference, right? But she is, and so like those things, but she was, right, her as an artist, right, watching her grow has been amazing, but she is probably the person who let me know, right, that it was important for me to push my music. And that for me, it made sense, like, oh, actually, right? Because it was like, oh, yeah, like your organizer friends, you know what I mean? Like your homie, whoop-de-whoop. But here is a young artist, right, who has the potential to have a very big platform and have a lot of ears. And what she's saying is like, even if that's not what you have, there's enough of us that need what you're saying that it's going to influence the music that I make, essentially, right? And it was like, oh, yeah, that shit is worth it. I don't need to be your favorite rapper, but if I have the ear of the people who are your favorite rapper, right? Yeah. We are politicizing all of y'all, right? Again, I'm an educator, so how am I bringing mass political education to the people?
Right. Shout out to Hayla V. That's her name.
It's Hayla space V. Feel me?
Okay, man. Shout out to her, and you know that it's so important that we can encourage one another. You know what I'm saying? Like, as artists, as you know, especially in the hip hop spectrum, where it doesn't have to be a competition. You know, it's enough room for everybody to be up here and win. You know, competition is great, but healthy competition, and as she was saying, breaking that down to the importance of what you have, plus the influence it'll have for others, including her. You know, yes, I'm glad that not only did you hear that, but you felt seen, and you making certain that people see and hear you now. Because that was a very powerful statement coming from someone that's rising from that. And yeah, you know, that's the beauty of hip hop. You know, other genres are great, but when you think about the scope of hip hop and, you know, the different spectrums that it can be in, it's always wonderful when you can have somebody that is in the same thought process. You know, like she said, she's doing the work. She's doing the grocery program as an educator. Like, you see the daily goings of what she does, and then what influences her music, and then influences the community, you know what I'm saying, in a real way, and then specifically and with intentionality to speak that life into you, into others, you know, that, and that's what we have to do. And using your music, J. Phin, that's what you're doing too. You're speaking life into others, you know, bringing in your sons, bringing in your sister, bringing in that. Sounds like Out Front. What do you look for when deciding who to work with creatively? Because, you know, the music, the couple of songs, you have Woman Be Raw, your sister, and then you have your son on there. What's your son's art? What's his stage name?
So my oldest son, he's Jashawn the artist.
Okay.
And then my younger son, I don't know if it's his stage name. I just put it on because it's his Instagram name, because he really a basketball player and a photographer. That's like really what he does.
Okay.
And his number is 6, right? So he like his little Instagram is 6 shoots, because right, shoots.
Oh, cool.
So right.
That's so cool.
So, and like, right, like if you listen to the song, you'll hear me say, Sita, what you say? And Sita is 6 in Swahili. And so I call him Sita, right? Because again, like, we learned Swahili at our school.
Got the multilingualism going, you got the legacy going, you got, man.
But to like answer your question, like, what am I looking for, like, to work with most folks? Up to this point, I've pretty much just worked with family, right? Like, I've worked with both my sisters, Rain Ali, Woman Be Raw. Her name is Rain Ali, and then my sister Mel. She's been on a few of my songs. Hayla V has been on a few of my songs. The babies at our school have been on a few of my songs. I have a song probably in July. I'll have another project come out on my birthday, and there'll be a song with the homie Cameron Love called Tell Me About Yourself. I have my babies cursing, singing on this Asada. So I got tasked to create some songs for the Asada Memorial Project, and so
It's
I
major.
have the babies.
Congratulations to that. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so I have the babies. I have the babies saying "fuck the police" because it's like a "Ring Around the Rosie" like sample kind of thing, and so the babies are like, "Yeah, motherfuck the police, we till we free. There's no peace. Ashes, ashes. Let's burn this shit down."
Yeah.
So
Raising the light.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it's been like the babies. It's been really just like, again, for the most part, my community, right? Like the folks who are in the trenches with me, that are doing program with me, that are showing up to teach these babies with me, because most of my music really is purely, if it's not a love song to my wife, right? It's probably about my life, and my life is so consumed, right, in the fight for our people. I wish it was in the fight for liberation, right? Like I truly wish we were at a different stage, right? But we are at a stage right now where we need to build consciousness, right? Our people don't even know that they're not free, and so most of that deals with that. It deals with COINTELPRO, right? Has never went away. That shit is real. The pigs are still after us. They still harass us. They still surveilling us and throwing cases at us and our team and trying to plant agents and all those things. So like that's what we're talking about, right? And so that so
Yeah. So it's about the community. When you're creating, it is specifically based on a communal effort. Like you're collaborating with people you collaborate on a regular basis, right? On some real things, on real change, and making that clear. Because as we see in today's time, and I feel as if we're in like a renaissance right now, because the world is just, just really not at the best right now. It's hard to describe what's happening in the world, especially in America. It's just hard to put into words. Yet, that's when greatness really shines. And, the Great Depression brought about the Harlem Renaissance, and so many dire times in history is when our Black heroes rose. So we've had many deaths of many greats as we go along. And as we're getting older, we become those giants, and so even now, Finn, you're setting that stage up. So in 2060, you'll still be rapping and they'll still have the scholarship and all the things that you've done. And so it'd be like, he's been true to this since the 2000s, since the 90s, right? And so going into retirement or going into your elder age, and you've given this journey and showcasing this, and it's archived. It's a collection that they can have, it can always listen to. So even though, like you had shared before, not sure why we still do the newspapers. They're important because this new generation data showing that, we got Gen Z, but Generation Alpha and the generations after that, they're seeking that old school type connection. But we just have to steadfast. We cannot let legislation or, this AI and social media and these trends and all this other extraness, what's happening, muddle our task. What we're here to do. Right. And so I want you to continue that path. I remember what I wanted to share earlier. I am first generation from the cotton field. My father is the youngest of 14 to sharecroppers. And so my grandparents and even my father himself and his siblings, they used to pick cotton in Louisiana, even at the age of 7. And when we think about slavery, because, I see pictures of my great-grandmother, I knew my grandparents, even though they were, much older, slavery is not that far from us. I am first generation from the cotton field, as well as a first generation college graduate and a college professor, moving into this domain of being the answer to my ancestors' prayers. And so for us, as we create this generational impact, and, with my podcast, this platform is to invite artists like yourselves, the real artists, that are doing the real music, that are showcasing it and this is how we live, this is how we breathe. We're not making money when it comes to the music, not making money off the podcast, maybe one day, but it's more than that. It's far more than just a monetary gain. It is about the responsibility. Like you said too, you have a responsibility to create this music, to create this because the messaging has been placed into you, because the truth matters. It matters so much more today. And so it's just something that I want to make certain that you get your flowers, that you can use these videos or these clips that we post from this to help promote what you do, because it is important. And so that's my task on this podcast, is for creators, for entrepreneurs, for artists, and even hip hop fans and hip hop heads and nerds like us, to be able to share out and speak about the what and the why of what you do, because this does teach. I want to give you the opportunity to share and make certain that there's no misunderstanding when it comes to J. Phin, about you and your music. Do people misunderstand anything ever when it comes to what J. Phin does with his music, or is it has it been a journey of people consistently giving you your high fives and your fist bumps, because it is great music. The music I've listened to, I'm like, man, this brother here really has something to say. Has it ever come a time where it's like, you know what, you're a fan even if you don't think you are?
What I will say is, like, again, I've been doing community organizing for a long time, right? And like, I have the same stance, whether I'm community organizing and I'm just speaking, or if I'm rapping with a microphone. And what I will say is that, like, when I rap, the response from people is so much better than when I am just speaking. And we have gotten so many more people involved with our organization since I have been more serious about rapping. It's absolutely insane. And it's one of the reasons, again, why I've just been like, all right, well, I'm gonna just consistently put out music then. Because if, like, this is a way that people are like, oh, we should go over there and do that thing with them, I'm gonna do it, right? So like, in regards to that, I would say I've probably just got a lot more positive than I'm used to the negative feedback on, like, you're really harsh, or you're brash, or you're offensive, or you're racist to white people.
Aggressive.
What I mean? You're aggressive, right? And so, like, when I rap, people love that. They eat it up, right? They're like, you're like DMX, and I'm like, cool, right? Like, one time I'm rapping, and some dude, I didn't know, right? Like, he starts barking. He's like, arr, arr, arr. And my sister thought it was hilarious, right? But, like, we had a show like 2 weeks ago. I'm performing. Bruh gets up out the crowd. He, like, walks up. He dabs me up in the middle of rap. He's like, yeah, kick that shit. So it's just like, but it's like, oh yeah, no, people can actually feel what I'm saying, right? Like, I'm sure that there are people who, they put better punchlines together, or they have better cadences, or they are matching their rhyme scheme and patterns in much more articulate or, like, sophisticated manners. But what I'm rapping is very real, right? Like, you can't deny, right? Like, you could go even look at the visuals and you're like, oh, he doing exactly what he said he was doing, right? So I think, one, that is a unique quality at this moment in hip hop, across the board, right? Like, not even, I think big artists, small artists, I don't know if authenticity is valued in a real, genuine way, right? And some of it is just based off the simple fact, like, not every one of us can be killers, and we can't kill everyone, because then everyone would be dead, because everyone's op is dead. Right. But, like, everyone's still alive rapping about the other. You know what I mean? Right. Something's not adding up. And it's great. We shouldn't be killing each other in that manner. But, like, right, like, those things can't all add up. Some of us probably are, right? Unfortunately. But, like, right, and so, again, all of us aren't rich in, like, stunting and throwing money and hella diamonds. That isn't the gas prices outside could just tell us that.
Listen, man.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
again, we call ourselves the Shakurs. There's a part in Asada's book where she talks about she's at a party and everyone's putting on these airs. And she's like, I don't want to do that. I want someone I can sit down and talk real shit with. She said, the struggle that I've been dealing with and seeing is too real for me to want to even lie about.
Right.
And that's where I am, right? I don't want to lie. I want to tell you exactly. Are you outside struggling? I'm struggling too, bruh. Are you seeing the pigs beat our ass? I'm seeing it too. Did you know that there are niggas who are fighting back, who are resisting? Because I bet you they didn't want you to know that. I bet you they just want you to post it on Instagram when you see a picture of the Panthers. But did you know in your city, Sacramento, LA, Dallas, Newark, Kansas City, where are we in Delaware? What's the one in Delaware? Wilmington. You feel me? Like, where, like, in these cities, did you know there are folks actively and who need help? Y'all love to be like, the Panthers had that. You know why the Panthers had that? Because they had hella people, bruh. Mm-hmm. Show up, and I bet you we have more. People always like, oh, you only have, right? They'll be like, you only have 12 kids at your school, 10 kids at your school. Yeah, bruh, because we only got 2 teachers and don't nobody get paid. If we have more teachers, we have more kids.
Right.
Oh, y'all do groceries in the same space with the kids? Yeah, get us a different building, and then we could do groceries in one spot and in the school in another.
Right.
You seeing us work miracles, feeding 10,000 people and run a school, and we don't. And you're right, and we don't have no money. We broke. So now I need you to question Umar, who been running around collecting all these donations for 15 years for a school that's empty. Right? So like. But like that, like those are the stories that I'm trying to tell. I want us to wake up. I want us to say, oh wait, there is an alternative. There's a different way, right? What I believe that, again, our whole organization what we believe is creating alternatives, right? We believe that the society that we live in is fucked up all the way. There ain't no salvaging the West. You know what I'm saying? And so we have to build new things. And that means we need alternatives. So our people, music is spiritual to our people. So we can't just not have music. So like, what is the alternative? If we are going to say, hey, bruh, don't listen to Sexy Red. We have to have a Hayla V. We have to have a female artist who is dope lyrically, right, and then you can't even say, oh, she's not pretty, she's a beautiful young woman, right? Like, you have to have something that can hear as an alternative.
Right.
I can't just say, don't do that. Cool, bruh, okay. What then what am I doing? Don't send your kids to public school, that's bad for them. Yeah, bruh, so what's the alternative? Malcolm X Academy is the alternative.
There you go.
Oh, right? Hey, did you know, right, like, and not every program is able to do that, right? Like, again, we give out groceries. We are collecting, in California, there's a law that says, like, grocery stores can't throw food away. They have to, like, give an organization an opportunity to rescue it. So, cool. So we rescue from a bunch of different stores. Well, that's still not sustainable. Like, that's not how we can live. But what we can show is, like, we have a dedication to make sure that this food comes to y'all. We can build a discipline, right? And then hopefully show folks like, hey, we can figure out systems where we can feed each other. And then that can grow into us growing gardens and farms, and right, and like and then a mutual exchange. That is the goal, right? So it's like it's a practice to get us to this point. But I say all that to, like, again, we have to have an alternative in all forms. And so again, hip hop is our music. That's not going away. We can't say don't listen to hip hop, don't listen to rap. That's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's not realistic, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, what is the alternative? Where is the hip hop And again, also what's crazy is we're allowing it to be co-opted and then our thing taken away.
Yeah.
How are we gonna let that happen? And it's funny because, like, getting back to your question before about like pushback, the biggest pushback I get is like people like, you cuss a lot and you say nigga a lot, and I'm like, and then people want to, do you know the history of that word? And I'm like, do you know where the word comes from? Because it comes from the continent, and it means, right, king. And then they're like, and I'm like, and all over the world there's like an iteration of the word and it's sacred, and then they're like, oh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool. That's why I say it, and I don't care, because we can't let white people take our stuff and make it dirty.
Right. Exactly.
So, like, we can't let them take our hip hop circa 94, 95 and then make it dirty, and then we say, we're done with it.
Right. Right.
Gotta have it. We gotta clean it up. We got to have a self-help program for hip-hop. We got to have a self-help program for R&B, because our R&B is toxic. We got to help, you know what I mean? We got to do it with our movies. We got to do it with our TV shows. We got to do it with our schools, so it's in every way that we are operating and like relating to each other. And so for me, it's not just like, oh, it's just the music. It's just like, we need alternative ways, and we need alternative things for our people to do and engage in that are healthy.
Yes.
Same way. We can't tell you, and so in our grocery program, most times we don't put all the cakes. These grocery stores give us a massive amount of cakes. But instead of putting them in everybody's grocery box, we'll just set majority of the cakes outside, and people can take as they wish. And again, it's like, it's not the best, and it's like we don't want food to go to waste, right? Like, obviously people need cakes, or they want cake or whatever, but we're not going to promote this unhealthy thing. We're gonna make sure that your box has veggies, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you could just the vegetables out and you take it if you want. Now you getting vegetables in this box, right? You getting a protein in your box. You want some extra cake, go ahead, right? That's on you.
Yeah.
But there has to be an alternative created or like presented of like. And again, Monday, right, on Monday nights, we have self-defense. And we have mindfulness. Like, because, oh, hey, how do you keep yourself grounded? How do you keep yourself healthy? How do you reset your mental health? How do you protect yourself, right? How do you, and then again, my sister who does mindfulness will talk about nutrition. She'll talk about what you're eating goes in, da-da-da-da. So, like, we're trying to provide alternatives the best way that we can. And if it's not a full-scale alternative, right, like a Malcolm X Academy, where it's like a wholesale, like you could take that out, right? I could take my baby out of public school and put him into your school. That's a wholesale change. That is a real alternative. And if not, it's a, how do we get to building that alternative? Because there's steps, right? Right. We can't go to armed revolution if y'all can't do push-ups and punt and do a 1-2, right? You know what I'm saying? So if you can't make it to self-defense Monday night and do the workout before the, right, you got to do a workout, and then you got to do the self-defense. If you can't do those, no, you're not going to weapons training. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's steps that we all have to get to, and I think it's the same with the music. It's the same with the, unfortunately, where we're at now, day and time and frame, and the skills that most of us have, we can create most of the propaganda that we need. The music, the short content, right? Movies are a little bit harder, but we can still do it on our phones or whatever is necessary. So it's just a matter of creating those things, and so that's what I'm seeking to do.
That's exactly what you're doing. As you were speaking, I was thinking about the novelist Octavia Spencer and her text Parable of the Sowers.
Yeah.
And everything that you're saying, it's reminiscent of that, right? But what sticks out is that the futurism of it, the Afrofuturism of what you're doing, is that you are working 10 years from now. Everything that you all are invested in, giving food, giving knowledge to just those 10 children, right? And even with those 10 to 12 kids, that's enough for a revolution. That's enough, too, for their families, right? It's so important because the world is changing. It's changing at a very rapid rate. And whoever's the strongest of mind is going to be the last standing, because it's so much that can take away from the spirit, from your emotions and even the physical, but that mindset has to be there. And so, it's a great start. That's a wonderful start. No, it's not, because I was thinking about, like, damn, Ron Clark Academy out in Atlanta, and them kids be dancing on the desk, and they got these big buildings with slides in the middle. But you get this white man has are black kids dancing to hip hop, the music, and he's breaking in the money and getting this notoriety, but he don't give a damn about what happens to them after that, right? But at the same token, you do have these grassroots opportunities to really help the people and help the community. And I'm just so very grateful that you were able to share that here. We're going to put the links and the posts and everything on the clips and the full YouTube. And it's just been an honor to talk to a young person like yourself. And it is so important that young people like you continue as the leaders that you are, because you are making a change. Play the long game. You got to play the long game. Just as you're doing, it's the long game. And everything that you all are doing, your family, shout out to your wife as well, Mrs. J. Phin, let me say, and then the boys as well, and then the whole community that is working. You all are working 10 years from now. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for being here on the Hip Hop Scholar Podcast. We will definitely, hopefully you'll come back for another one, because it's a lot more to talk about. Yeah, cool.
Definitely,
okay,
definitely. Appreciate y'all having me.
Absolutely, man. This is the Hip Hop Scholar Podcast. We are out of here. Peace.
Melanie Pendo.